She's remarkable, isn't she?
It's an extraordinary scene, isn't it, as well? I mean, just the way that it unfolds. But how do you feel Abonga presents himself as a man to these children?
Well, you see, from the moment we first met him in the film, I thought, here's a classic, self-serving, evasive character who kind of moved around the questions that were put to him directly and tries desperately to claim that he was in some way helping or shielding the children who were handed to him, that he was trying to do something good. I think he came there expecting to reassert some authority and try to reclaim some moral ground, and was perhaps not prepared to have a former victim standing up to him so forthright and dignified and asking him questions that he couldn't answer, really.
And one who he saw as a wife as well, even though she was so young.
What a nerve.
Edwin, is he trying to exonerate himself based on the fact that this was a war and therefore everything was... he doesn't think he's done anything wrong, in other words?
Well, he certainly didn't when he was doing it, and I think has two kinds of excuses. The one was that he starts right at the very beginning, so he joins the movement in '87 when very large numbers of people in that community supported it and got incorporated in it, and of course then benefited from it. And he also says in that piece that he couldn't get out himself. There was no way that he could leave either, and therefore he presents himself as a victim. And then says, well, of course, I also benefited. I had 6 wives. He had 6 of these young girls who were handed to him.
Now, this is a man who set himself up as a priest, of course. Briefly, Angie, how does the religious aspect work its way into both the counselling and the Lord's Resistance Army as the Lord's Army?
It was extremely interesting, and I thought initially I was a bit unnerved by the use of religion as a healing tool, to the extent that we see a very small boy treated to an exorcism of demons. But then I thought, in the context of this culture, it was extremely interesting, fighting fire with fire, if you like. Right. For children who believed that they had, who had been taught from the age of 5 or whatever, that they were under charms and they were under spells, and if they didn't do what they were told, the demons would get them. The use of religious ritual at the other extreme to
believe in a power bigger,
and that there is an answer, that there is help for them, that there's something bigger than them that can help save them. It clearly has some benefit.
Finally, Edwin, just to end on very briefly, what effect will the International Criminal Court have by indicting Joseph Kony? Will it make it more difficult to negotiate?
It would take too long to get into all of that. What has happened is that Kony has now been forced out of Uganda, partly by the army, partly because of facing these charges. So that area is relatively peaceful, but he's now terrorizing the eastern Congo, and as I understand it, 10,000 more small children in that area have now been captured and are undergoing the same fate.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for, but